I used to overthink every single spending decision and still feel stressed about money. What finally changed things wasn't budgeting harder or tracking every dollar. It was creating a few simple spending rules so I don't have to think about money all the time. In this video, I'm sharing the exact rules I follow now and why they quietly made my spending decisions feel effortless. Before we get into the rules, there's one foundation everything else depends on. The principle is simple. Don't spend more than you make. In fact, I prefer to spend a level below my means. This means if I can comfortably afford a big vacation, I might plan one slightly smaller than I could technically afford. Or if there's a new phone or I want a special night out, I might choose an option just below the top price I could spend. Spending a level below your means gives you breathing room, flexibility, and most importantly, it gives you options later. I know this sounds basic, and it's a rule that a lot of personal finance creators and experts talk about, but it's actually harder in practice than it sounds. Mastering this principle will keep you from going into debt and sets up all the other rules to work effortlessly. And if you're dealing with debt, know that every small step towards spending below your means counts. You don't have to be perfect to get the freedom this creates. Once that foundation is in place, everything else becomes about building upon that freedom and reducing friction. The first actionable rule is one in, one out. Every new item I bring in means one old item goes out. I started with clothing, so for example, if I buy a new coat, I donate or sell an old one, but now I apply this rule to nearly everything in my life. Books, gadgets, home items, anything that comes in, something goes out. Over time, this has kept my space manageable, preventing me from unnecessary spending and just gives me a surprising amount of peace. A calmer environment really does make decision-making easier and creates mental breathing room. And that idea of reducing decisions carries into the next rule, which is to batch small decisions. Instead of making tiny choices all day, like buying lunch, coffee, or groceries, I combine them into one decision moment. For me, this reduces mental load and prevents impulse spending. For example, I like to do all my groceries for the week at once on a Sunday instead of daily. It saves time, money, and stress, and I don't have to keep renegotiating the same decision. With fewer decisions draining my energy, I can be intentional about where I do spend. The third rule is to spend freely inside your spending account. I have a dedicated account for discretionary spending, so money outside that account is off limits, but inside it, I have total freedom. The key here is know what you actually value, because if you try to buy everything, you'll feel broke no matter how much you make. After I pay myself first, I choose to prioritize experiences over material things. So I love spending on trips or experiences, giving thoughtful gifts and paying for meals when I'm with my family and friends. Inside this account, I don't overthink purchases. I've already decided what matters, and that clarity makes it easier to focus on decisions that really move the needle. The fourth rule is to focus on high leverage spending decisions. That means I prioritize purchases that have the biggest impact on my life or finances, and I don't worry too much about the rest. So, for example, I'll invest in quality shoes I wear every day, but I'll skip the fancy kitchen gadgets I rarely use. Another big one for me was my car. Living in Los Angeles, owning one wasn't optional, so instead of obsessing over small expenses, I focused on getting the best price and financing terms on a purchase that would affect my budget for years. I also take really good care of bringing in for regular maintenance. That way I can continue to have this item for a long time and replace what's necessary instead of having to buy another big purchase all over again. I really think this is about strategy over penny pinching. I'd rather make a few smart, high-impact decisions than obsess over every small expense. The last step is making sure the important stuff happens automatically. Simply put, automate major or reoccurring expenses. Bills, savings, recurring contributions all happen automatically. rent, retirement, utilities, all on autopilot. I don't make emotional decisions about these. My only real decisions are in my discretionary spending account. Together, these rules remove decision fatigue, reduce stress, and give me more freedom instead of restriction. It's not about willpower, it's about clarity, systems, and prioritizing what truly matters. If you want to see exactly how I decide the order where my money goes first, that's coming in my next video, so hit subscribe so you don't miss it.